$5 billion, gone in a heartbeat, all because I picked her over my family's empire. Hello, my good friends. How you holding up today? May God bless you all. I'm Ethan Carter, and this is how I torched my old life for love. Yesterday I walked out of my dad's office and boom, everything I knew went up in smoke. Stick around, 'cause this ain't just some rich guy whining. It's about guts, love, and what really matters. The Atlanta skyline shimmered like a damn postcard outside my penthouse window, all neon glow and Peachtree Street humming 42 floors below. It was March 27th, 2025, and I was 32 years old, staring down the wreckage of a life I'd spent a decade building. Yesterday, I'd walked out of my dad's office at Carter & Sons in Midtown, leaving $5 billion and 100 years of family legacy in the dust. Now I was clutching a photo of Maya Jackson, her curls wild in the Piedmont Park sun, her smile cutting through the haze like a spotlight, and wondering how the hell I'd ended up here. The penthouse smelled faintly of magnolia from the diffuser my mom, Nora, had insisted I keep, but all I could see was the old family portrait glaring at me from the wall. 4 generations of Carters, stern faces in black and white, and I'd just turned my back on every single one of them. I gripped the whiskey glass so hard my knuckles went white, half wanting to chuck it at the skyline I used to own. The amber liquid sloshed as I tipped it back, burning my throat, but doing jack to quiet the noise in my head. $5 billion, or the woman who showed me who I really am. Hell of a trade. I could still hear my dad's voice from yesterday, cold as steel slicing through the cigar-scented air of his office. "This isn't about love, Ethan," Henry Carter had said, leaning back in his leather chair, the Midtown towers framing him like a king on a throne. "It's about the Carter name. You walk out that door, don't ever call me Dad again." My tie had felt like a noose, my palms sweaty as I stood there under the weight of those words. The portraits on the walls, my great-grandpa hustling houses in Savannah, my grandpa carving up Atlanta, Henry turning it all into a coast-to-coast empire. They'd stared me down like I was on trial. I was supposed to be the next big shot, the Wharton grad who'd turned our Southwest Division into a gold mine, the guy who'd closed a $2 billion deal at 27 without breaking a sweat. But then I'd said it. "I choose Maya." My voice shook, but my feet didn't. Not till I hit the elevator and damn near collapsed against the wall as the doors slid shut. The fallout hit like a freight train. By noon, my company email was toast. By 3 p.m., my keycard wouldn't even buzz me into the parking garage. By midnight, the PR suits had spun some crap about me, stepping down to pursue personal interests. The tabloids ate it up. "Billionaire heir dumps fortune for love," splashed across every site, with a blurry shot of me and Maya at a West End rally. Paparazzi were probably swarming the lobby right now, itching for a money shot of me cracking. I set the photo on the bar, next to a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle that had cost more than most folks' rent. One last taste of the high life, I figured, pouring another splash. The penthouse was all sleek lines and cold edges, black granite counters, a custom sound system humming low, a view that had made my buddies drool when I'd hosted poker nights up here. But tonight, it felt like a museum exhibit of a life I didn't fit into anymore. I traced Maya's smile in the photo, and bam, I was back at that gala 6 months ago when she first lit the fuse that blew my world apart. It was a swanky charity thing at the Atlanta Cultural Center, The kind of night where the air's thick with perfume and fake laughs. I was in a tailored tux, working the room like I'd been trained to since I could walk. Flashing smiles, dropping the Carter name, sipping bourbon that cost more per glass than a week's groceries. Then she walked in. No glittery gown, no heels clicking on the marble. Just Maya Jackson in a faded Howard Law hoodie and jeans, her hair yanked back in a messy bun like she'd just rolled out of bed. She looked out of place, but the way she moved, like she didn't give a damn who noticed. I was mid-speech, bullshitting about our company's commitment to community, when she cut through the crowd. She crossed the room with a beer in one hand and a stack of papers in the other, slapping them on the table in front of me with a thud that echoed. "Hey, Carter," she said, her voice sharp enough to slice through the chatter. "Your company bulldozed 300 homes in West End for condos last year. Where'd those families go? Or don't you care?" The room froze. 100 pairs of eyes swung to me and my face went hot as hell. We provided relocation assistance," I stammered, fumbling like a kid caught cheating on a test. She didn't blink, just leaned in closer, her dark eyes pinning me like a bug on a board. "Relocation to where? Tent cities under I-20? You ever see where your assistance lands, or is that just another box to check?" I should have been mad. Some random chick crashing my night, calling me out in front of Atlanta's elite. But damn, there was something about her. The fire in her voice. The way she didn't flinch when the suits around us started whispering. I was hooked. After the gala, I found her by the bar, nursing that same cheap beer while the bartender tried not to stare. I slid up, still buzzing from her stunt, and went for the charm. "You always crash parties to grill people?" I asked, flashing the grin that had closed a dozen deals. "Only when they're full of hot air," she fired back, that half-smile of hers hitting me like a punch. "I'm Maya Jackson. I fight for the people your company screws over." That was it. The moment everything shifted. I asked her to dinner, thinking I'd wow her with a spot in Midtown, all dim lights and overpriced steak. She shut me down cold. "I don't date corporate raiders," she said, smirking as she walked off, leaving me standing there like a fool. Took me 3 weeks of emails, me begging, her dodging, before she finally caved. Not for some fancy joint, though. She picked a faux spot in Chambly, a dive with sticky tables and a neon open sign flickering in the window. I showed up in a suit, feeling like an idiot next to her denim jacket and sneakers. We sat there for 4 hours, the steam from the broth curling between us as we talked. She told me about Detroit, her mom grading papers till midnight, her dad busting his back on the assembly line, how she'd slung hash browns at a diner to pay for law school. I spilled about the Carter machine, the private jets, the pressure, the gnawing feeling I was just a cog in it. When she laughed at me, fumbling with chopsticks, her eyes crinkling at the corners, something cracked open inside me. For once, I wasn't Ethan Carter heir. I was just Ethan. Back in the penthouse, I downed the last of the whiskey and tossed the glass in the sink. It clinked against the steel, loud in the empty space. That night in Chambly had been the start. Of us. Of the whispers at the country club. Of the blowout at Lake Oconee when my folks finally laid down their ultimatum. They thought they could scare me back into the fold, keep me chained to their legacy. They didn't get it. Walking out that door yesterday wasn't just about Maya. It was about me, who I was, who I wanted to be. I grabbed my keys off the counter, the jangle cutting through the silence. Tomorrow I'd be out of this glass cage. No more penthouse, no more billion-dollar safety net. Just me and Maya, stepping into the unknown. And you know what? I was scared shitless, but I couldn't wait to see what came next. 6 months ago, I was still the guy everybody wanted to be. Ethan Carter, Wharton grad, heir to Carter & Sons, the real estate empire that owned half the Southeast. Life was a blur of private jets to Miami, steak dinners in Buckhead, and weekends on our yacht docked off Charleston. I'd stroll into our midtown office, 50 floors of glass and steel with Carter stamped on top, and folks would practically bow. "Morning, Mr. Carter," they'd chirp, all smiles and nods. Nobody called me Ethan. That's what power does. Builds walls you don't even notice till they're gone. That night, I was at the Atlanta Cultural Center for some charity gala, the kind where rich folks drop a few grand to feel good about themselves. The room dripped with old money. Crystal chandeliers sparkling overhead. Waiters weaving through with trays of champagne that cost more per flute than a day's pay at minimum wage. I was in my element, rocking a tailored tux, shaking hands with CEOs and city council types, dropping lines about our latest condo project in Buckhead. The air smelled like perfume and cigar smoke, and the jazz quartet in the corner was smooth enough to make you forget the world outside those marble walls. I was halfway through my usual spiel, some crap about giving back to the community, when the double doors swung open, and in walked Maya Jackson. No glitzy dress, no diamonds, just a faded Howard Law hoodie, beat-up jeans, and sneakers that squeaked on the polished floor. Her hair was yanked back in a messy bun, a few curls slipping loose like they had a mind of their own. She carried a cheap beer in one hand and a stack of papers under her arm, moving through the crowd like she didn't give a damn who stared. And trust me, everybody stared. I kept talking, but my eyes were glued to her. She didn't mingle, didn't grab a champagne flute, just parked herself at the back, leaning against a pillar, watching me with this look that said she wasn't buying a word. I said. I wrapped up my speech, something about building a better Atlanta, and the room clapped like I'd just cured cancer. That's when she made her move. She pushed off the pillar and cut through the crowd, her sneakers scuffing the floor as she closed the gap. Before I could blink, she was right in front of me, slamming that stack of papers, eviction notices I'd find out later, on the table with a smack that made the crystal glasses rattle. "Hey, Carter," she said, her voice loud and clear, like she was calling me out in a bar fight. "Your company bulldozed 300 homes in West End for condos last year. Where'd those families go? Or don't you care?" The room went graveyard quiet. You could have heard a pin drop on Peachtree Street 5 blocks away. My face burned like I'd been slapped, and I fumbled for words. We provided relocation assistance," I said, sounding like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. The suits around me shifted uncomfortably, whispering behind their hands, but Maya didn't budge. She leaned in, her dark eyes locking on mine, and I swear I felt the floor tilt. "Relocation to where?" she pressed, tapping the papers with a finger. "Tent cities under I-20. The shelters that turn folks away 'cause they're full. You ever see where your assistances lands? Or is that just another box your accountants check?" I opened my mouth, but nothing smart came out. The crowd was gawking now, some smirking, some horrified, and I could feel the sweat beading under my collar. We follow protocol," I mumbled, but she wasn't having it. She straightened up, gave me that half smile that'd haunt me for weeks, and walked off, leaving me standing there like a damn fool with her eviction notices staring up at me. I should have been pissed. Some nobody crashing my night, humiliating me in front of Atlanta's big shots. But all I could think was, who the hell is this woman? I tracked her down later by the bar, where she was sipping that same beer, ignoring the bartender's side-eye. I slid up, still buzzing from her stunt, and tried to play it cool. "You always crash parties to grill people?" I asked, flashing the grin that had sealed million-dollar deals. "Only when they're full of hot air," she shot back, not even looking up from her drink. "I'm Maya Jackson. I fight for the people your company screws over." That hit me like a gut punch, but I couldn't walk away. "Ethan Carter," I said, sticking out my hand like an idiot. She glanced at it, then at me, and finally shook it, firm, no nonsense. "Let me buy you a drink," I offered, nodding at her half-empty bottle. "Something better than that." "I like this just fine," she said, smirking. "And I don't drink with guys who think they can buy their way out of a question." I laughed. Couldn't help it. "Fair enough. How about dinner then? No buying, just talking." She raised an eyebrow. "I don't date corporate raiders, Carter." Then she drained her beer, set the bottle down, and walked out, leaving me staring after her like she'd just stolen my damn soul. I spent the next 3 weeks chasing her. Emails, calls, hell, I even dug up her office address in Decatur, a beat-up storefront with peeling paint and a sign that said Jackson Legal Aid. She dodged me like a pro, firing back one-line replies. "Busy. Not interested. Try harder." Finally, I sent her a message that broke through. "Let me see West End through your eyes. No suits, no bullshit. Just you and me." 2 days later, she texted back. "Faux Hoa Chambly, 7 p.m., don't be late." I showed up in a button-down and jeans. No tie, no cufflinks, feeling naked without the armor of a suit. The place was a dive. Sticky tables, plastic chairs, a flickering neon open sign buzzing in the window. Maya was already there, in a denim jacket and sneakers, slurping pho like she owned the joint. I slid into the seat across from her, and she barely looked up. "You're late," she said, twirling noodles around her chopsticks. "Traffic on 85, I lied, and she snorted like she knew it. I ordered a bowl, fumbled with the chopsticks, till she laughed. This bright, real sound that hit me harder than any boardroom win. We talked for hours, the steam from the broth curling between us. She told me about Detroit, her mom grading papers till midnight, her dad hauling steel at the plant, how she'd waited tables to scrape through law school. I spilled about the Carter life, the private schools, the pressure to be perfect, the deals I'd closed that left me hollow. "You ever think about what you're building?" she asked, leaning back in her chair. "Not the condos, the real stuff. Who you are." I didn't have an answer. Not then. But when she grinned at me, struggling with a noodle, her eyes crinkling, something shifted. For the first time in years, I wasn't just the Carter heir. I was Ethan. And I liked that guy a whole lot more. Back at the gala, my buddy Liam Hayes had cornered me after Maya left. He's a Wharton bro, all slick hair and sharper suits, the kind of guy who'd sell his grandma for a stock tip. "She's trouble, man," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "Hot, sure, but she's gonna tank your whole damn life." "Maybe I need a little trouble," I'd shot back, still riding the high of her handshake. He'd laughed like I was joking. I wasn't. That night was the spark, the first crack in the Carter bubble I'd lived in my whole life. Maya didn't just catch my eye. She lit a fire I couldn't put out. And trust me, my family had no idea what was coming. For 6 months, Maya and I kept it on the down low. We'd sneak off to dive bars in East Atlanta Village, scarf down hot wings at hole-in-the-wall joints on Moreland Avenue, or crash on her tiny Decatur fire escape, talking till the sun peeked over the skyline. She'd drag me to community meetings in West End, where folks fought tooth and nail to keep their homes from developers like my family. I'd sit in the back, baseball cap pulled low, watching her argue with a fire I'd never seen in any boardroom. It was a different Atlanta, raw, real, and 1,000,000 miles from the private jets and penthouses I'd grown up with. But secrets don't stay secret forever, especially not when you're a Carter. It all blew up after a rally in West End. Maya was speaking, tearing into some corporate fat cat about gentrification, and I was there, cheering her on from the crowd. Some kid with a phone snapped us together, me grinning like an idiot, her arm slung around my shoulder. And bam, it was on X by sundown. Carter heir cozies up with activist lawyer hit the blogs, and the internet lost its damn mind. My phone buzzed non-stop. PR team freaking out. Old college buddies texting WTF. And Liam Hayes, my Wharton wingman, blowing up my inbox. You're screwing yourself, bro. This ain't a game. I didn't care. Not then. I was riding high, drunk on Maya and the life she'd cracked open for me. But my family? They weren't laughing. 2 days later, I got the call from my dad, Henry Carter. Lake Oconee, Sunday dinner. Bring her if you're so damn proud. His voice was ice, and I knew what was coming. I'd been dodging their questions for weeks. Who's this girl? From Mom. You're distracted from Dad. But this was different. This was a summons. Sunday rolled around, and I picked Maya up from her Decatur office. She was in a simple black dress. No frills, no fuss, but she looked better than any debutante I'd ever seen in a ball gown. You sure about this? She asked, buckling into my Audi as we peeled out toward I-20. Nope, I said, grinning despite the knot in my gut. But I'm not hiding you anymore. She squeezed my hand, her fingers warm against mine. Just don't expect me to kiss the ring, okay? Wouldn't dream of it, I laughed, but my palms were sweating on the wheel. The Carter estate on Lake Oconee was a beast. 10,000 square feet of brick and glass sprawled across 50 acres, the kind of place that screamed old Southern money. The driveway was lined with live oaks dripping Spanish moss, and the lake glittered gold in the late afternoon sun. Inside, it was all dark wood and family history. Oil paintings of Carter's past, a grand staircase Mom loved showing off, and a dining room table that could seat 20. The air smelled like polished oak, and the roast beef our cook, Ms. Ruth, had been slow cooking all day. We walked in, and the vibe hit like a brick wall. James, our butler for 40 years, froze mid-step when he saw Maya, his polite, "Good evening, Mr. Ethan," catching in his throat. Mom, Nora Carter, was waiting in the foyer, her blonde hair pinned up, her smile tight as a drum. "Ethan, darling," she said, air-kissing my cheek, then turning to Maya. "And you must be—" "Maya, was it?" "Yes, ma'am." Maya said, shaking her hand with that steady grip of hers. Nice place you got here. Mom's eyes flickered, half surprise, half something I couldn't read. Thank you, she said, her voice clipped. We've worked hard for it. Dad was in the dining room, swirling a glass of bourbon, his gray eyes tracking us like a hawk. Sit, he said, nodding at the chairs. No handshake, no welcome. Just that one word, heavy as lead. Dinner was a slow-motion train wreck. Ms. Ruth brought out the spread, roast beef, mashed potatoes, collards, and we dug in, but the silence was deafening. Mom broke it first, her fork hovering over her plate. So, Maya, you're a lawyer, Ethan says. That must be fulfilling. Keeps me busy, Maya replied, cutting into her beef. I mostly help folks who can't afford to fight the big guys, like the ones your company displaced last month in Vine City. Mom's fork clinked against her plate. Dad's jaw tightened, but he didn't say a word. Not yet. I jumped in, trying to steer the ship. She's damn good at it, too. Won a case against a developer in Detroit that made national news. She's quite articulate, Mom said, her tone dripping with that polite venom she'd perfected at charity luncheons. Maya just smiled, unfazed, and kept eating. Then it happened. Maya mentioned her latest case, fighting a firm Carter & Sons had just bought a stake in. Dad's glass hit the table hard enough to make the candles flicker. Ethan, he snapped, his voice low and dangerous. My study, now. The walk from the dining room felt like a death march. Those damn portraits glared down at me, their eyes screaming traitor as I followed him. Inside the study, all leather and oak, the lake shimmering through the window, he didn't waste time. He slammed the door and spun on me, his face red under the silver hair. Have you lost your damn mind? He roared, pacing like a caged bear. Do you know what this does to us? The board's buzzing, clients are asking questions, and your mother's getting sidelong looks at the club. This isn't some fling you can play with. It's the Carter name. I stood there, fists clenched, trying to keep my cool. Times have changed, Dad. Love doesn't come with a color code or a bank statement in 2025. He laughed, a harsh, barking sound I'd never heard before. This isn't about color, son. It's about class, legacy, everything we've built. That girl's a walking grenade and you're lighting the fuse. We went back and forth, voices rising till the walls damn near shook. He threw out words like responsibility and future. I fired back with freedom and truth. Finally, he stopped pacing, leaned on his desk, and stared me down. You got a week to end this, Ethan, or you're out. I didn't answer. Just turned and walked out, the door clicking shut like a gunshot. Back in the dining room, Maya was chatting with Ms. Ruth about collard recipes, cool as ever. Mom sat stiff, picking at her food. Everything okay? Maya asked when I sat down, her hand brushing mine under the table. Yeah, I lied, forcing a smile. Just family stuff. That week was hell. The whispers spread, country club, boardroom, even the damn barbershop on Peachtree. Liam cornered me at a bar in Midtown, his tie loose, his breath reeking of gin. You're tanking, man, he said, jabbing a finger at me. She's hot, I get it, but this? You're throwing away the keys to the kingdom. Maybe I don't want the kingdom, I shot back, but his words stuck. I started dodging Maya's calls, telling myself I'd figure it out. Then Friday night, I caved. I met her at a coffee shop in Decatur, a cramped spot with mismatched chairs and the hum of a busted AC. She slid into the booth, her eyes searching mine. "You've been ghosting me," she said. "No bullshit. What's up?" I stared at the table, the knot in my gut twisting. They want me to end it. Dad says it's her or the family. I told him I'd think about it. She didn't flinch, just leaned back, arms crossed. "And what did you decide?" "I don't know," I admitted, my voice cracking. "I'm scared, Maya. $5 billion, my whole life. It's a lot to walk away from." She nodded, slow, like she'd expected it. "I get it. But you don't get to half-ass this, Ethan. You're either in or you're out." She got up, left her coffee untouched, and walked out. I sat there till the barista kicked me out at closing, her words ringing in my ears. The storm was here, and I was drowning in it. That coffee shop night in Decatur left me gutted. Maya walking out, her untouched coffee cooling on the table, it was like a punch to the chest. I spent the next 48 hours pacing my penthouse, the Atlanta skyline mocking me through the glass. $5 billion or her? Legacy or love? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Dad's face, red, furious, barking about the Carter name, and Mom's tight smile, hiding whatever she really felt. Then I'd see Maya, her steady eyes calling my bluff. You're either in or you're out. Monday morning, deadline day, I drove to Midtown. The Carter and Sons Tower loomed over Peachtree, all glass and steel, a monument to everything I'd been groomed for. I walked into Dad's office, tie loose, hands shoved in my pockets. He was behind his desk, bourbon in hand. Same old Henry Carter, king of his castle. The air stank of cigars and tension. "Well," he said, not looking up from his papers. "You come to your senses?" I took a deep breath, my heart hammering like a jackhammer. "I choose Maya," I said, the words spilling out before I could choke on them. He froze, his pen hovering mid-signature. Then he looked up, eyes narrowing like I'd just spit on his desk. "You're throwing away everything. Your inheritance, your position, this family, for some girl." "She's not some girl," I snapped, my voice shaking but firm. "She's who I want to be with. I'm done living your script." He stood, slow, like a storm cloud rolling in. "You walk out that door, Ethan, you're no son of mine. No money, no name, nothing." I didn't flinch. Not this time. "Fine by me," I said, and turned on my heel. The door clicked shut behind me, soft but final, like the last nail in a coffin. I made it to the parking garage before my legs gave out, slumping against my Audi, sucking in air like I'd run a marathon. Scared shitless? Hell yeah. But free. For the first time, maybe. The axe fell fast. By noon, my email was dead. By night, my keycard was trash. The next day, movers showed up at the penthouse with boxes and a memo from the family lawyers. Vacate by week's end. I packed light, clothes, a few books, Maya's photo, and ditched the rest. The PR team spun their bullshit. Ethan Carter steps away to pursue new ventures. Tabloids had a field day. Billionaire bad boy bails for love. And paparazzi camped out on Peachtree, snapping me hauling boxes like I was some reality TV reject. Maya met me at a diner off Ponce de Leon. her beat-up Toyota idling out front. "You okay?" she asked, sliding into the booth, her eyes searching mine. "Been better," I admitted, stirring a coffee I didn't want. "But I'm in. All the way." She smiled. Not her usual smirk, but something softer. "Good, 'cause I'm not letting you back out now." We moved into a shoebox apartment in East Atlanta Village, 1 bedroom, peeling paint, a kitchen sink that dripped like a metronome. No marble bars, no skyline views, just a second-hand couch and a mattress on the floor. I learned to ride the Marta, burned my first attempt at scrambled eggs, and laughed when Maya taped a Carter and Sons eviction notice to our fridge as a joke. It was rough, but it was ours. Then the past came knocking. Vic Ramsey, a Dallas developer I'd smoked in a $500 million deal 3 years back, saw his shot. He'd hated my guts ever since I'd outbid him on a chunk of Texas land, and now he was out for blood. Word got around he was feeding the tabloids dirt. Ethan's just playing white knight to wash his hands clean. She's a gold digger riding his coattails. The headlines stung, but the real kick came when the rumors hit Maya's world. We were at her Decatur office, a converted storefront with flickering lights and stacks of case files, when Aaliyah Brooks, her right-hand lawyer, laid into me. She was a firecracker, all sharp edges and no filter, born and raised in Bankhead. "You think you're slick, huh?" she said, arms crossed, glaring at me over a desk piled with papers. "Dropping your billions to slum it with us? I've seen your type. Rich boys playing hero till the novelty wears off." "I'm not here for kicks," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I'm here to learn, to help." "Help?" she snorted, tossing a file at me. "Your family's the reason half my clients are homeless. You don't get to waltz in and act like you're one of us." Maya stepped in, her tone calm but firm. "Lay off, Aaliyah. He's trying." "Trying don't pay the bills," Aaliyah shot back, but she backed off, eyeing me like I was on probation. The rumors Vic spread didn't just piss off Aaliyah. They shook the whole West End crew Maya ran with. Whispers at meetings turned into stares, then flat-out questions. "He for real? Or just another suit?" I felt it, the weight of their doubt, and it gnawed at me. Maya kept me grounded, dragging me to a block party in Vine City to show 'em who you are. I flipped burgers, cracked jokes, and took a kid's trash-talking at basketball. Lost bad, too. Slowly, folks warmed up, but it wasn't enough. Then Vic dropped his bomb. He bought out a community center project Maya and I had been pitching to small investors, a spot in West End we'd dreamed of turning into a hub for local businesses. He swooped in with his deep pockets, flipped it to a luxury retail chain, and smirked about it on X. "Carter's out of his league. Stick to trust funds, kid." I saw the post at 2 a.m., sprawled on our creaky couch, and my blood boiled. "We can't let him win this," I told Maya, pacing the tiny living room, the drip-drip of the sink driving me nuts. That center was ours. It was for them. She sat cross-legged on the floor, papers spread out, her eyes tired but fierce. "We won't. But we're broke, Ethan. No investors, no cash. Vic's got us pinned." "I'll figure it out," I said, slamming my fist on the counter. "I've closed bigger deals than this with my eyes shut." She looked up, half smiling. "This ain't a boardroom, babe. This is the streets. We fight different here." The next day, I hit the pavement. I called old contacts. Guys I'd wined and dined in my Carter days, begging for scraps. Most laughed me off. You're a ghost now, Carter. One hung up mid-sentence. But then I got a nibble. A buddy from Wharton who'd gone rogue, running a small VC fund. He met me at a dive bar in Little 5 Points, nursing a beer while I pitched like my life depended on it. West End needs this, I said, sliding him a napkin with numbers scratched on it. Not condos, real jobs, real people. 10 grand gets us in the game. He squinted at me, then grinned. You're nuts, Carter, but I like nuts. I'm in for 20. It wasn't much, but it was a lifeline. I ran home, speed walked, 'cause the Marta was down, and burst through the door, grinning like a fool. We've got a shot, Maya. 20K. She jumped up, papers flying, and tackled me in a hug. That's my man, she laughed, her voice muffled against my chest. We were back in the fight, until Vic's next move. That night, Aaliyah called, her voice tight. Your boy Ramsey's at it again. Rally tomorrow. He's crashing it to call you out. You better show up, Carter, or we're done. I hung up, my stomach sinking. Vic wasn't just gunning for me. He was gunning for everything we'd built. The breaking point was here, and it was do or die. Rain hammered the tin roof of our East Atlanta Village apartment, the drip-drip of that damn sink keeping time with my racing thoughts. It was a week after Vic Ramsey bought out our West End Community Center project, and we were scrambling. That $20,000 from my Wharton buddy was a start, but it was peanuts against Vic's war chest. Maya and I had poured everything into the Carter-Jackson Impact Fund, a scrappy little dream to bankroll local businesses instead of luxury condos. But the hits kept coming. The rally Aaliyah warned me about was tomorrow, and Vic was planning to show up, ready to twist the knife. He'd been on X all week, crowing, Carter's playing savior with pocket change. West End's better off with me. The comments were brutal, half calling me a fraud, half cheering Vic like he was some damn hero. I'd stare at my phone till my eyes burned. Maya, asleep on the couch beside me, her legal files scattered like a paper fortress. We were broke, exhausted, and running out of rope. Then Liam Hayes rolled back into my life. My old Wharton bro showed up unannounced, his Porsche gleaming outside our busted front door. I let him in, rain dripping off his designer coat, and he smirked at the mess. Our thrift store couch, the leaky ceiling, the sink I still hadn't fixed. This your new empire, huh? He said, dropping onto a chair that creaked under him. Living the dream, Carter. What do you want, Liam? I asked, arms crossed, leaning against the counter. The drip-drip grated on my nerves. He pulled out a cigar, some fancy Cuban shit, and lit it, the smoke curling up to the water-stained ceiling. Heard you're drowning out here. Vic's eating your lunch and your little fun's a joke. Come back, man. Dad'll take you in. Full reinstatement, corner office, the works. You don't belong in this dump. I laughed, bitter as hell. You think I'd crawl back after all this? You're sinking, he said, leaning forward, eyes sharp. I'd rather see you in a suit than a soup line. Think about it. $5 billion, your old life. No more playing slumdog millionaire. I wanted to slug him, but his words stuck like burrs. I'd been dodging bill collectors, eating ramen 3 nights a week. and Vic was laughing all the way to the bank. "Get out," I said, pointing at the door, but my voice cracked and he caught it. "Call me when you're ready to stop drowning," he said, tossing a business card on the table before swaggering out into the rain. That night, I couldn't sleep. Maya was prepping for the rally, scribbling notes under a flickering lamp, while I paced the tiny room, Liam's card burning a hole in my pocket. What if he was right? What if I'd torched everything for nothing? The rain pounded harder, like it was trying to wash me away. The rally was at a vacant lot in West End, muddy, packed with folks in raincoats, holding signs that said, "Save our homes," and "No more condos." Maya was up front, megaphone in hand, her voice cutting through the downpour. "We're not here to beg," she shouted. "We're here to build, with or without the suits." The crowd cheered, but I saw the doubt in their eyes when they glanced at me. Aaliyah was there, arms crossed, her glare saying she still didn't trust me. Then Vic rolled up, black SUV, slick suit, umbrella held by some lackey. He grabbed a mic from his crew and strutted into the mud like he owned it. "Ladies and gentlemen," he boomed, his Texas drawl dripping with smug. "Ethan Carter's feeding you fairy tales. He's got no money, no plan, just a rich boy's guilt trip. I've got the cash to make West End shine. Retail, jobs, real progress. He's a failure playing dress-up." The crowd murmured, heads turning. Aaliyah stepped closer, her voice low. "He's full of shit, but they're listening. You better say something, Carter." I froze, rain soaking my hoodie, Vic's smirk daring me to crack. Maya grabbed my arm, her eyes fierce. "You've got this. Show 'em who you are." I took the megaphone, my hands shaking, and stepped up. "Vic's right about one thing," I said, my voice hoarse over the rain. "I was a rich boy. I had it all. Penthouse, private jets, $5 billion waiting. But I walked away 'cause that world screws people like you. I'm not here to save you. I'm here to fight with you. We've got 20 grand and a damn good plan. It's not much, but it's ours." Some clapped, some jeered. "Prove it!" a guy yelled. Vic laughed, loud and ugly. 20 grand? I spend that on lunch. You're a joke, Carter." He turned to the crowd. "Follow me, and West End wins. Follow him, and you're screwed." The crowd split, half cheering Vic, half eyeing me like I was a used car salesman. Aaliyah shook her head. "They're slipping, Ethan. You're losing them." Back home, the fight broke us. Maya and I sat on the floor, rain drumming outside, papers soaked from the rally scattered around. "We're hemorrhaging," she said, rubbing her temples. "No one's investing. Vic's got 'em scared or bought." "I can fix this," I said, but my voice sounded hollow. "I've got contacts. Your contacts hung up on you," she cut in, sharp. "We're out of moves." I snapped. "Maybe if you'd let me run this like a business instead of a damn crusade, we'd have a shot." She flinched, then stood, her eyes blazing. "This isn't a boardroom, Ethan. It's people's lives." "If you can't handle that, maybe Liam's right. Go back." The room went dead quiet, just the drip-drip and the rain. I grabbed my jacket, stormed out, and walked the wet streets till my shoes squished. Liam's card was still in my pocket, and I damn near dialed him. $5 billion, a dry office, no more losing. It was so close I could taste it. But then I saw Maya's face in my head, that soft smile from the diner, and my thumb stopped. Next morning, I dragged myself to a coffee shop in Inman Park, hair plastered from the rain, and called my sister Ellie. She'd always been my rock, stuck between me and our parents. We met in secret. She pulled up in a Prius, hood up like a spy. "You look like hell," she said, sliding me a latte across the table. "Feel like it too," I muttered. "Vic's killing us, Ellie. Fun's toast, Maya's pissed, and Liam's dangling the old life like a carrot." She sighed, sipping her coffee. "Dad's furious. Mom's a wreck. They think you've lost it. But I get it, Ethan. She's real. Just don't quit now. You're tougher than this." "Am I?" I asked, staring at the steam curling off my cup. "Feels like I'm drowning." "You're not," she said, firm. "You're swimming. Keep going." I left that meeting with a flicker of fight, but the edge was still there. Vic was winning, the community was slipping, and Maya and I were cracking. That night, I found her asleep on the couch, a legal pad clutched to her chest. I sank down beside her, the drip-drip mocking me, and wondered if we'd already lost. The rain hadn't stopped in East Atlanta Village, drumming on the tin roof like it was trying to drown us out. I'd barely slept, slumped on the couch next to Maya, her legal pad still clutched tight. We were on the edge, Vic Ramsey burying us, the Carter Jackson Impact Fund bleeding out, and the West End crew ready to write me off. I'd stared at Liam's business card till the numbers blurred, the old life whispering like a siren. Dry suits, fat checks, no more drip-drip sink driving me nuts. But Ellie's words, "Keep swimming," stuck, and Maya's steady breathing beside me kept me anchored. Then the mail came. A soggy envelope slipped under the door. No stamp, just my name scrawled in Mom's elegant cursive. Inside was a check for $50,000 from her personal account, not Dad's, not the family's, and a note. I should have fought for my happiness too. "Don't give up, Ethan." I read it twice, my hands shaking, the paper crinkling under my grip. Mom, Nora Carter, queen of tight smiles and country club grace, had gone rogue. She'd picked me over the Carter machine, quiet as a shadow. I woke Maya, shoving the check in her face. "Holy shit, look at this." She blinked, groggy, then sat up fast. "Your mom? For real?" "Yeah," I said, pacing the tiny room, adrenaline pumping. 50 grand. It's not millions, but it's a damn lifeline. She grinned, wide and fierce. "That's our shot. Let's hit Vic where it hurts." We called Aaliyah at dawn, rain still pounding. She showed up at the apartment, soaked and skeptical, her braids dripping on the floor. "What's this about, Carter?" she demanded, eyeing the check I held up. "New play," I said, spreading out our crumpled plans on the table. "Vic's flipping that community center to a retail chain, right? We outbid him. Use Mom's cash as a down payment, rally the crew for the rest. Show West End we're for real." She squinted, then nodded slow. "Risky as hell. But if you screw this up, I'm done." "No screwing up," Maya said, her voice steel. "We're taking it back." The next 48 hours were a blur. Aaliyah rallied her West End network. Barbers, pastors, single moms with fire in their eyes, while I hit my last few contacts, begging for scraps. Maya worked the legal angle, digging up dirt on Vic's deal. Shady permits, a bribed councilman. We scraped together $75,000 more. Crowdfunding, church donations, a loan from that Wharton buddy who'd kicked in before. It was chaos, fueled by coffee and desperation. But we had a number, $125,000. Enough to challenge Vic at the city bidding war. The showdown was at Atlanta City Hall, a packed room, fluorescent lights buzzing, air thick with sweat and tension. Vic strutted in, suit crisp, flanked by his lawyer and a PR flack. The West End crew filled the back, signs in hand, eyes on me. Aaliyah stood by Maya, arms crossed, her glare daring me to fail. The councilwoman banged her gavel, calling the bids for the community center lot. Vic went first, smirking like he'd already won. $300,000, he said, voice booming. Retail jobs, tax revenue, real progress. The room murmured, heads nodding. My stomach dropped. We were outgunned. But Maya squeezed my hand under the table, her whisper fierce. We've got this. I stood, legs shaky, and cleared my throat. $125,000, I said, loud as I could muster. Not for condos or chains, for a community hub. Local businesses, job training, a stake for the people who live here. Backed by us and them. I nodded at the West End folks, who erupted in cheers. Vic laughed, sharp and mean. That's chump change. You're dreaming, Carter. The councilwoman frowned, flipping through papers. Mr. Carter, your bid's low. Why should we take it? Maya jumped up, slamming a folder on the table. 'Cause his ain't clean. Vic's permits are shaky. Backroom deals, greased palms. We've got proof. You want progress or a scandal? The room exploded. Vic's lawyer shouting, West End clapping, the councilwoman banging her gavel till it cracked. Vic's face went red, his cool cracking. This is bullshit, he yelled, but the damage was done. Maya's evidence held. Emails, receipts, a whistleblower from his team. The council recessed, then came back 20 minutes later, faces grim. Bid awarded to Carter Jackson, the councilwoman said, voice flat. $125,000, contingent on community oversight. The West End crew roared, Aaliyah grinning for once, slapping my back. Vic stormed out, his lackey scrambling after him, and I pulled Maya into a hug, her laugh vibrating against my chest. We did it, I whispered, half disbelieving. Yeah, we did, she said, her eyes shining. You're stuck with me now. That win was the spark. The fund took off. Small investors trickled in, impressed by the headlines. Local duo beats big money. We turned that lot into the West End hub. A co-op market, a tech lab, a daycare, all run by folks who doubted me months ago. Aaliyah became our ops lead, barking orders like a drill sergeant. But she'd nod at me now, a grudging respect in her eyes. 6 months later, we got hitched in an East Point warehouse, the fund's new HQ, surrounded by West Enders, Decatur lawyers, and my sister Ellie, who defied Mom and Dad to show up. She hugged Maya, whispering, You made him better, and slipped me a beer with a wink. No tux, no chandeliers, just jeans, BBQ, and a boombox blaring Outcast. Best damn day of my life. The real kicker came a year later. I ran into Dad at a conference in Savannah. Me in a faded jacket, him in his custom suit. He looked older, lines deeper around his eyes. We locked gazes across the room, and for a second I thought he'd turn away. But he walked over, slow, and stuck out his hand. "You're still a Carter," he said, voice gruff. "In your own damn way." I shook it, my throat tight. "Guess I am." He nodded, a flicker of something, pride, maybe, in his eyes, then left. Mom started sending birthday cards after that, short notes about the grandkid Maya and I were expecting. A girl, due next month. Ellie brought her kids to our place, sneaking past parental radar, and we'd grill out back while they ran wild. The fund's at $500 million now, fueling minority businesses across the South. Vic? He's licking wounds in Dallas, his rep trashed. But the real win ain't the money or the headlines. It's waking up next to Maya, knowing we built this, not from billions, but from guts and love. It's walking West End, seeing shops thrive where condos would have stood. It's the letters from folks, couples like us, dreamers like me, saying our story gave 'em hope. 5 years since I walked out that door, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Losing everything. Best damn gift I ever got. 'Cause real wealth? It's not what you inherit. It's what you dare to create. That's our story, folks. From billions to broke to something badass. Love this ride? Smash that subscribe button and holler in the comments. What's your legacy gonna be? Stick around for more. We're just getting started on this crazy road.